And we're back. Okay. Yeah. So this is the SilmFilm script discussion, season 2, episode 3, part 3, 4, or 5, depending on how I've broken this up. So, all right. Alex has chimed in here saying she shouldn't give a fig for Valinor. She likes listening to Finway talk about it because he's happy doing so makes her happy.
Yes. The whole young couple in love, and he's really excited about what he's talking about, so she's into it. That's all I meant. She's into what he's talking
And he's
about.
a persuasive speaker to begin with, and he's glowy. Okay. Our poor special effects people that don't exist.
Whatever. They'll figure it out. Um,
They'll imaginarily figure it out.
yes. Okay. So we start the episode with wedding plans already underfoot. We go to Ingwe talking to his people, and they're all on board. We go to Elway talking to his people. They're a little less on board. We go back to Finway and Muriel being a happy couple in love. And then Muriel goes and talks to her sister. Is that how we're doing that? In that order?
Sister, mother, father, brother, whoever it is.
Relative. Muriel talks to relative who's like, you sure about this guy? You might want to wait and see how this all plays out before you actually get married.
Okay.
Is that the counsel that she's getting from her family of just wait, like keep it an engagement for now? Is that what they're saying?
Okay. I think I can get on with that. Alex says the whole clan Muriel, every single one of her family is like, no, don't do it yet. Do we want at any point to have all of the elves in a big conversation where it devolves into yelling?
It's called the debate. I feel like this should be Council of Elrond, but with more yelling.
Okay.
I mean, but at some point. But we can't do a 30-minute segment of that either, so we have time to get there.
Okay. So, well, that, I feel like that's got to be the climax of the episode. It's got to culminate in that.
Yes, because the only thing that happens after the debate is the ones who are going to leave, like, pack up to leave.
Leave, yeah.
So, like,
okay.
the climax has to be the decision to leave and the decision to stay.
Okay. Are we going to have a wedding in this episode?
I feel like yes, because we have to have something that's not debating.
Okay.
I mean, why not throw a wedding party in there? That's a fun thing.
Okay. Where can we put that where it doesn't disrupt the flow of tension?
Yeah. I mean, I would say somewhere in Act 2.
Okay.
So it's like there's no formal big debate yet, although the buzzing talk is probably resulting in lots of little pockets of debate.
Yeah.
And then if this wedding happens, which brings a lot of people together, which maybe sparks some of said debate, while Finway and Muriel run off to have a honeymoon. I don't know. Are they going to do that? Or are they going to be... Like, I don't know how this works for elves.
Okay. The in-laws can disagree. Yeah, like there's the two sides of the aisle, and they're just kind of like staring angrily at each other. No. What if we do have him go off for a while, and somebody Noldor, like, has to go out and get them?
Because something has happened while they've
because things have started to get crazy. Like,
so they leave, like, to celebrate, and everyone, wishes them well and sends them off, and then right after that, Morway or whoever starts kind of trying to convince people not to go to Valinor.
There's dissension among the ranks.
Right. So something kind of breaks out in the aftermath of their wedding.
Well, you know what? Yes, someone has to interrupt the honeymoon. I agree. You know what might be interesting? Yeah, I agree, Alex. It had. What might be interesting is if Elway gets wind of how rough things are going over in the Noldor camp.
And he goes.
Well, either he goes or he sends Celeborn so we can have him be there.
Okay, I like it. If Celeborn's only role in this episode is to go check in on Finwë and Muriel during their honeymoon. Poor Celeborn. Like, what a terrible job. Hey, we need to go. We need you to go fetch the newlyweds. What?
He can literally look at Elwë like, are you serious? Like,
it's like
I know what's going on.
Yeah. It's like, no, this is important. Just, knock first.
Can it be Ingwe indignantly interrupting the honeymoon, demanding Finwë gets his guts? And I actually do really like that. I do like that. I don't like it as much as Celeborn, but I do like that.
All right, so who's interrupting now?
Alex is suggesting that it be Ingwe indignantly interrupting the honeymoon, demanding that Finwë get his guys in line.
Ingwe's older and married and knows better. Like, he's not gonna... He's gonna realize that whatever's going on can wait a week until Finwë gets back. You know what I mean?
They both interrupt one after another.
I feel like Elwë would be the more likely to think that he had the right to bother Finwë at this moment in time, whereas everyone else would be like, give him his time. Because Elwë's a friend, and he's single.
Yeah. Well, what if... Okay, hang on. Because Alex is suggesting, can they both interrupt one after another? Let's make this comedy of manners. We could do something to the effect of Celeborn goes out there, and Finwë basically brushes him off.
Okay.
And then, Ingwe goes... We can have Ingwe go to Elwë and say, look, this is getting nuts, and Elwë says, well, I sent somebody to go get Finwë, and...
He couldn't be bothered.
Yeah.
In which case, Ingwe would be like, all right, that's enough, I've got this. All right. Under those circumstances, I could see Ingwe doing something.
Yeah. And because, remember, Finwë kind of has a thing about confrontation itself, like angry confrontation, like real confrontation. He can be convincing, but he may be kind of deliberately hoping this just goes away.
Yes, he's not someone who chooses to make a strong stand.
Right.
He kind of lets things play out, as is evidenced when his sons start fighting, to the point of drawing swords on each other, and he's still like, oh, well, it happens sometimes.
Boys
and
will be boys,
Your son is banished. Oh, well, I guess I'll go be banished with him then.
Yeah.
What? No!
No, not 3 interruptions. I don't think we can do 3 interruptions. And
no one expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Clan Muriel showing up at...
Oh, no.
And catching them en flagrante, or however you say that.
Yeah. At some point, Finwë just gives up, puts his clothes back on, and goes and talks to everybody. That's just not really nice.
No. All right, anyway. So, a couple of interruptions in, Finwë comes back. And at this point, what if he shows up and we're already in full swing? There's 500 elves here.
Right. It should be a bigger gathering than the wedding. Like, the wedding was a big group, and now this is a bigger group. To show that this is an important thing that everyone's involved in, not just... Yeah.
Okay, and so...
But it's just the Noldor at this point. This is the Noldor camp where this is happening.
Well, pleasing Noldor and Noldor argument. I agree. Although I feel like if we don't get the Teleri perspective here, we're going to lose track of them.
Oh, I more meant that if we start the debate as half the Noldor versus the other half of the Noldor, that's like the most even. We'll bring in the Teleri, who are more mixed in their opinions, and we'll bring in the Vanyar, who all are on Ingwe's side. but to start the debate with just the
Okay.
Noldor.
And
And
so
then,
once Finwë arrives to get a handle on his people, Ingwe and Elwë show up with their perspective.
and bring in the other copies. Yeah, that's all I meant. I meant
Okay,
I wanted to like show that the debate is growing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we need to work out the play-by-play of this debate itself.
Okay.
All right. Finwë shows up. Morwë is preaching no-go.
Right. So he's the one who's going to build a bridge for 500 years or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we could have a couple of unnamed supporters of his say things like that.
Right. That's what I meant. Like that's the kind of things that are being said
right
at this stage.
Like I think that we've kind of built Morwë up as kind of this slight antagonist at least. I'm right in the middle of something is a slightly more reasonable argument than they're going to eat us, which is Morwë's a good guy, leave him be. I guess he can't be that bad if there was any possibility of, if we're going to believe that there was any possibility Muriel would have considered him over Finwë.
That's the thing is, he's not that we don't want to paint the Avari as bad guys.
No. I'm saying, but I am saying that some of them are definitely suggesting that they can't trust the Valar.
Yes, but the distrust is not. Bless you. Is not in.
Well, it's not universal. First thing.
Right, but it's also. When Muriel was saying to Finwë, I don't like this doesn't look good, it wasn't that she thought Arome was a bad guy, she just thought he was treating the elves as children, and she was uncomfortable with that.
Yes.
Which is true. The Valar do view the elves as children, because they in fact call them
the children of Elud, yeah.
So, yeah.
And there's nothing unreasonable with the Valar doing that, to be perfectly honest.
It fits. And Finwë, having met some of the Valar, feels that this is fine. Some of the other Noldor might still have that opinion of, if we go to their land, we'll be living under their rules and doing things their way. What happens to us as a culture if we do that? Right. Like, I feel that's an argument that can be brought up.
Okay, so maybe that's Morwë's point of view, which is interesting because it mirrors Muriel's point of view, and he might actually kind of give her a sidelong glance at that moment.
Yeah, he's obviously not happy with this whole wedding that just happened.
Right. So, but we should have, even if they're, well, Eöl is kind of our perfect.
He's a bad guy, Avari.
Yeah.
You want him to be a bad guy, it's Eöl.
Yeah. He's Eöl's our guy, I think, who says that we can't trust these people. Like what? They showed you some stuff, and now you're glowy, and now we're just supposed to run. They didn't care that that people were still disappearing. Clearly, that didn't bother them that much. Right. They'll make glowing slaves of us all.
Yeah. So do we want Eöl's stomping off into the darkness to happen early in the debate then? Or do we want to wait a little bit for him? Because when he does that, it shows that this debate is very much high temper.
Right.
And that it can be splitting.
Actually, what if it would be interesting to give Eöl like a note of foresight, something for him to say emphatically before he leaves, and it doesn't not happen.
Okay.
He's got to be infamous for that moment, even among the Teleri. So if we have the other elves show up by the time that he goes through his thing, I agree. I like that.
Yes.
But
first we start with Morwë just being like, we can't really trust these guys. But the debate is fairly low key. Then as all the other elves show up, tempers rise, and then we get Eöl just ranting.
Well, because the Vanyar are basically are basically they're not zealots. I don't want to paint them as zealots.
But they're all in agreement that we should totally go.
Yes.
So they're a strong, unified voice for let's all pack up and move to Valinor. So once they join the debate, everyone who wants to stay gets really defensive.
Yes.
Like, it was kind of a big debate, and a lot of people were talking before, but tempers weren't high until the Teleri and the Vanyar show up, and when the Vanyar are so adamant about we should all go, the Avari all get on the defensive, and just the tempers start going higher.
Yeah. Karita, Alex is very excited to have you back because you're his musical ally, he says.
Oh, good. Glad I'm back, too.
Okay. So we're in the middle of the debate itself, Karita. So you're coming in at a good time. So we have Morway expressing his view. Do we have Finway say anything directly before the other guys show up?
Yes.
Or do we think maybe he needs their backup to feel like he can really talk on this?
No. Finway's not that wishy-washy.
Yeah, he doesn't strike me as a shrinking violet, this guy.
Well,
so.
I mean, here's the thing. Every time that we've had him make a persuasive argument, he's been making it with somebody else's points.
Oh. Yeah.
Now, he could do that. He could do that echoing stuff that Aule has said to him. In fact, that's okay. So Morway.
Question. He's still doing the same thing.
Right. Morway's making the case that the Valar will treat us like children. We won't be able to have our own way, our own culture. Like everything about us is going to come under the Valar. And Finway's response is, that's okay. They have a lot to teach. Not that necessarily that that's okay, but they have a lot to teach us. We have a lot to learn from them. You have no idea this stuff, like, that you can take from the ground and fashion into all kinds of, I don't know. I'm going on an engineering rant.
Yeah. I mean, he's still being an ambassador. He's not. He doesn't seem to me to be someone who would necessarily need backup as long as he's totally convinced and he's really sold on the idea, which I think we've set him up to be.
Okay. Yes. By the way, during the honeymoon scenario, there needs to be some clear dialogue that Muriel is going to go with him. That she's decided. I think.
I would think that's even before the wedding kind of obvious. Like, she's not going to marry him if she has any doubts about going.
Right. Okay. Okay.
I mean, wouldn't that be something you'd want to resolve before you got married?
Yeah.
In this scenario?
You would think.
Yeah, that's how everyone does it, right?
So,
if there's some big contention of disagreement, it's something you, like, work out before you make the wedding plans, right?
Yeah. I mean, one would think. Probably.
Yeah, I've known people who do crazy things, and people whose plans have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, Finway makes his argument that they have a lot to learn from the Valar. That this is they're going to profit from this. Not in that word specifically, but they have a lot to gain.
Yeah, that sounds sketchy. The word profit.
Yeah, no, I'm specifically want to avoid that word, but they have a lot to gain.
Me too.
Mm-hmm. He tries to emphasize the value of what they would learn in Valinor.
Right. So it's at that point that our Vanyar and Teleri representatives arrive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, maybe they are arriving as he speaks.